Live. It's saying it's preparing us.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are live. Welcome to our community chat. I have the lovely Kevina Lorray here. I want to get right into it, but I just want to start by saying that this conversation is a bit different than our normal ones, and I'm so grateful. We are going to be talking about relationships, intimacy, and my mental health. And if any of you are new here, we kind of get into this topic a lot on TeleConnect. We really emphasize the importance of just forming a deeper connection with yourself. And by extension, when we get to explore ourselves a bit more, when we get deeper into our levels of self-awareness, our relationships are affected in sometimes a positive way and sometimes a not so good positive way, depending on how you view it. So that's why I asked Miss Kevina Lorray to join us because I don't know if you guys know her, but I am a stan of her content on social media. She is a fantastic, she has a fantastic way of forming social media content that allows us to understand our relationships better, allows us to understand how to be better at relationships and better people and partners and friends. And so without any further ado, Miss Camila Lorray, may you please, I forgot to ask you for your bio, my lady. So can you please let the people know who you are and a bit more about yourself?
First of all, you're so sweet because you did ask me for my bio and it was my fault. And you
What is
just
that?
you just took the blame for that and it was me. I was the problem all along.
There's that.
My name is Kevina Lorray. I'm a holistic sex educator. My work
Yes.
looks like one-on-one coaching most of the time. I also do small group sex education sessions that people will hire me for. And
Yes.
sometimes that looks like someone hiring me to do an intimacy party for them and their friends so they can heal and grow together. It looks like writing articles about sex education. And basically, I've been just working for the last maybe 5 years in trying to help the Bermudian community to grow in terms of relationships, connect better, have bigger conversations. This community has some needs in terms of sex education, and also there's a lot that gets swept under the rug in this community. And unless we learn how to have hard conversations, we can't heal from that. So my work as a holistic sex educator is diverse. Most of the time it is one-on-one coaching sessions, and most of my clients are incredible, accomplished, beautiful Black women who are
Yes.
trying to heal generational trauma, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so
Yeah.
obsessed. I'm so obsessed with them. And every day I'm grateful that um, these women, these incredible women, chose me as a place to come and heal. And everything that I do essentially wraps around communication and connection and intimacy. I'm also in marketing, and in marketing, what I do is community building, online community building.
Oh,
So it's
yes.
still about connection. Every facet of my work is about connection and community and communication. So
Yes.
yeah, that's who I am. Holistic sex educator.
The passion is definitely felt through your online presence, and I know that's only a part of what you do. You definitely have your hands in a bit of everything and trying to raise the overall awareness of the community.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a bit about your why? I'm always interested to know how folks actually get started with wanting to work with people in a coaching or therapeutic level where they're helping facilitate their healing.
Well, firstly, I've always been that friend. You know, that
Yeah,
friend, the
yeah.
friend who everybody goes to for emotional support that you can tell
Mhm.
all comes to. And I realized that I would often act as a hospital for people. I would
Yeah.
I would just be a hospital. They would come to me broken. I would fix them up. And then the next thing you know, we're not friends anymore. And I'm hurt and they're moved on. And that was our agreement. I was their hospital and I didn't have boundaries around that. And I
Yeah.
was just that person. And it was my life coach who told me that I was already a life coach. Like she was like, you're already doing this work, you know? And then
Mm.
around the same time, like a lot of things were going on at the same time, I created this page called Lorraine Uncensored. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was working as a personal trainer at the time, and Lorraine Uncensored just meant this is my page where it's unapologetically me. I'm going to take up space on this page and it'll be me. And I started to share like sensual art, and I wanted to like play with my body and shapes
Mhm.
and make like implied nude sensual art with my own photos. And it
Oh.
just, I guess I started out as like a sex icon. And it was very controversial. And you know,
That's
Bermuda.
interesting. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. No,
right.
we're in
And
Bermuda.
so what happened is I put myself out there in this way and I'm like, this is art, this is vulnerable, this is beautiful, people are gonna love it. And then people were like, you are a and I realized how my sexual liberation was being met. And I was like, for like one, I have ADHD, so rejection sensitive dysphoria. I was like, that's not how you missed the plot. Like I
Yep.
was so confused and hurt.
I'm
But then I was
misunderstood.
like, there's a lack of education here. There's a lack
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and the things that people would say to me, I was like, we have multiple problems. We have I would need to give you a college level of education to get you to understand what I'm trying to say right now. And I felt like people needed to know more about like intimacy and love. And I was always that friend. And that was like my specialty of things to talk about. And when I
Yeah.
was little, I understood adult relationships in ways that children often do not. And when
Mhm.
adults needed comfort, I knew when they just needed a touch on the shoulder.
Yes,
I've
yes.
been this person my whole life.
I relate so heavily to that. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole because then we'll be on a whole nother discussion. But you did say that you immediately felt that your expression, how you were expressing yourself, the art that you were putting out on the page initially was met with just resistance. And I find that it's like a lot of us are walking on of just repression. We're stuffing down our truest selves, and in that is wrapped up in our the way we connect and how we're able to be intimate. What that means in our romantic relationships and everything else. So it does sound like you pivoted a bit from where it started to where it is now, but you've always known that you were this person. This person has
Mhm.
always existed,
Yes,
and
and when I realized how much this community struggled with connection, I just
yeah.
wanted to help. I was like, no, I'm not the problem. Like, we need to learn some things, guys.
And I'm going to teach you.
Yeah.
And so that goes perfectly into the next question. What do you we're built for connection, right, Kavina? And we desire intimacy. We want to be close to our people, our partners, our friends, and sometimes we just like struggle. We struggle deeply to show up in a way that's comfortable for others, that meets someone else's needs, and that meets our needs. So, in your work, what do you find? Um, what do you think is one of the reasons why we struggle to form deep connections, intimate connections
Hmm.
with people?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. There's a conversation that I've been wanting to have, and let's get it.
Yeah.
So, right now, we need to have a deeper conversation that can answer this one, but
Mm.
we have a bigger problem. We have a bigger
Yeah.
problem here. It's not just people struggle with connectivity. COVID and capitalism have done
Mm.
such a number on us that we haven't even begun to unravel all of the ways that it has killed intimacy, connection, and community for us, both of
I see.
them. Now,
I see.
capitalism has been working on it for years, right?
Mm.
Things that used to be community oriented, now it comes in a single pack. I watched
Yeah.
a video of this Indian woman who was putting a single pack henna in her hair. And she was like, I was so excited when these little single packs of henna came out because now I can do my hair myself in my shower. But then
Mm,
she said, but then I thought about how I used to sit in front of my mother who would put the henna in my hair, and then I would put the henna in my sister's hair, and she
yeah.
would put the henna in our younger sister's hair. There was
Yes.
a intergenerational thing happening, and it got replaced by capitalism. Capitalism said, here you go. Here's a
You do
single
it
pack.
yourself.
You can do it
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
And we kept making these little trade-offs, and we didn't realize what was happening. The little guy
Mm,
didn't realize what was happening. And
mm,
our work hours continued to go up. And now we're in this position where you can't like properly balance work and home life and life with your
yeah.
partner and the house chores, and
All the
now
things.
you have to exercise. Like there's so much wrong with capitalism and how we're living right now, right?
Yeah.
Like we're struggling with connection because everything is capitalism, everything is our phones, everything is for sale all the time. We're always tuned in, tapped into this matrix of what's being fed to us, and
Mm,
it's hard for us to get out of it. How many times do you try to put your phone down and then you realize that your phone's in your hand again?
magically again. It's back
How
there.
did you get here? How did you get,
Back there. Yeah.
you know? And like that is the foundation of the problem. And then COVID came along and made it worse. We locked
Oh,
down, and a lot of people realized that one, they haven't really been talking to their partners. And during
oh.
lockdown, a lot of relationships went sideways. But also, think
Yes.
of the people who
Yes.
had to isolate alone.
Yeah.
You did not have the option for community. So we became more self-sufficient. We became more independent. And capitalism was already doing that to us. So now
Yeah.
we're living in a society where there's not enough hours in the day to get everything we need to get done. And our phones literally are our guiding systems now. We don't know how to unplug and be present. And everyone's saying, hey, Kevina, how can we connect better with our partners?
Yeah.
Well, how can we connect better with ourselves? How can we connect better with our community?
Yes.
How can we plug into nature and take a step back from the matrix, take a step back from everything that's distracting us from life? So
Yeah.
we're looking at our relationships and like, okay, I feel a disconnect, but the disconnect goes back like several layers before it gets to relationships. And some of the people that come to me just come for general life coaching, and they're struggling with depression or anxiety.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
say, like, okay, how much time are you spending outside in nature, and how much time are you spending on your phone? And do they even belong in the same room? The two times, do they even belong? Okay, now we got balloons. But like, so the key and the
Yeah.
answer is
Yes.
intention. But if we
Yes.
just say it's about being intentional with our partners and making sure that we plan dates and making sure that we look at them with the same benefit of the doubt we gave them when we first got together, and making sure that we spend time communicating and talking about little things so that when big things come up, we're good, and making sure
Yes.
that we indulge our partner's whims and like get excited about seeing them smile. Yes, yes, yes
Yeah.
to all of that. But if we don't look at things from a bigger problem, that we're disconnected from ourselves and we're disconnected from communities right now, we're not going to be able to fix the relationship problem.
That is so heavy and true. And it's so multi-layered, right? Because one thing that I noticed when I began to start this self-awareness journey, this development thing with myself, is that I began to notice my limits and my capacity. We just started this conversation talking about energy reserve so that we could
Mm-hmm.
have some level of, excitement coming into this conversation. And we are 100% set up in a rat race, even living in this small, tiny little country. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I don't have anything to give to myself, if I'm not aware of how I can create intentionally, like you said, um, systems or structure to make sure I'm honoring my needs and my capacity, then how am I going to actually be able to do this with the people outside of me, with the person that means the most when I come home? Or, like, how am I going to be able to even, make the effort or give the energy that that person deserves? And it definitely feels like we are fighting a losing battle with this system of capitalism, and especially living in Bermuda, right? We're one of the most expensive places to live in the country, but it's definitely a domino effect. It's a macro to micro, filter.
Mhm.
If the community isn't set up in a way to support folks and make sure that they feel connected, to make sure that they can breathe, then how are we actually going to bring that presence and that energy into our relationships? And
Mhm.
you put that perfectly.
And I don't want to leave that doom and gloom and say like,
Yeah,
that's where we're at, because
yeah,
I live a very fulfilling love life.
I know that's right.
Uh, I experience deep intimacy every day, and
Yes,
this is not for the sake of bragging, but it's for the sake of saying, loving and
possible.
being
Yeah,
loved and being vulnerable and showing up for
yeah,
someone outside of yourself and making yourself aware of your own things so that you're not taking it out on somebody else is active
yes,
work. It's intentional, deep work, and it is an act of rebellion. It says, you
yeah.
know what, capitalism, you know what, remnants of COVID-19, I decide what type of love life I'm going to have. And I decide that I'm going to show up for my partner, and I'm going to love, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be loved, and I'm going to be vulnerable, despite the fact that this world is telling me that I can't have my heart on my sleeve because it's not safe. I'm going to
Yes.
do that with this person. It is my act of
Mm.
rebellion.
It's a form of resistance because everything else
Mhm.
says we can't, that we shouldn't. And I'm so happy that you said you have created intentionally that relationship, that dynamic with your partner. Um, because it is work. Relationships are mirrors in a very uncomfortable way at times. And it takes an effort to look at yourself and to see, where I am able to show up fully and where I struggle, right?
Mhm.
You did a 30-day how to be a better lover challenge, and it was
Mhm.
I enjoyed it so much, right? It What led you to actually commit to that and feel the need to post these different ways that you can form in very pragmatic ways, like simple ways that you can make bids for connection with your partner? Because it does require us to actually get vulnerable, get a little bit naked when we are
Mhm.
trying to do these things with the people we care about. What led you to do that 30-day challenge?
You know what? You can find me sometimes on social media complaining about the cost of living here and issues with the government and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all of
Same.
that. But I love
Same.
this community.
Yeah.
I love this community. I love the people in this community. I love them with my whole heart. And I see an issue here. We are
Yeah.
struggling. We are falling under the pressure of capitalism, and we're not connecting
Mm,
with each other. And I'm noticing it with myself and my own family, who at one point I never wanted to leave. And now I'm
mhm.
struggling to get to the family event, even though they're my favorite people in the world. Like,
Mm,
I noticed that we have a problem. And then, like, my clients were coming to me, and the things that they were asking and the things that they wanted to
mm.
know about, I realized that I overthink all of the topics that I talk about on social media, when at the core of things, people needed like actual tangible advice on how to show
Yes.
up better
Yeah.
as a partner, tangible advice on how to be show up better in this community, because not all of them were like intimate. Most of them were intimate love, but some of them were about love in general or intimacy in general. And I was like, let's just start from scratch, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start from scratch and let's build something from the ground up, and let's learn from scratch, because you just assume that people are having these conversations, that parents are having the conversations with their kids. Like, this is how you would support a partner, and this is what consent means, and this is how you respect other people's boundaries, and this is how you keep love alive. But so many
Yeah.
people didn't even know what their parents' interactions were like, because they grew up with their parents as like roommates, and they didn't actually see what love looked like. So many of us have never seen a successful relationship that is healthy and communicative. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm giving this advanced college level advice when people need me to break it down to a level that is
Yeah.
like face to face, that is like my
Yeah.
sessions. And I love this community so deeply, and I've just wanted us to be closer to each other, to ourselves, to the community. And I'm just trying to do that one post at a time.
Yeah. And that's where the challenge came from. I think that you're so right. So many of us are like, from our beginnings, our origins, our parents, especially in this generation, the people that were responsible for us, even if they weren't our parents, th- depending on how they viewed love, depending on how they viewed relationship, we, a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, keep it on me. I did not see a healthy love demonstration, a reciprocal, and you know what, I did see love. I saw bids for love. I don't want people to think that, I was probably saying poor girl, but the level of intimacy, the level of intimacy that I now desire, that I now register as what is going to feed me and what I want to give to another person I did not see that. And so I don't think we realize how much of our beginning, our origins actually play a big part in how we go on to do relationships, even if it's not romantic, best friend relationships, workmates.
Hmm.
It started somewhere. It definitely
Yeah.
started somewhere.
And I
Um,
didn't see it either. And I
yeah.
said that to my client the other day, and I was like, I know you didn't see it, but like, I did not see it either.
Yes.
I'm just
Yeah.
like hellfire. I'm relentless. I'm one of the most relentless people you ever meet in your life. And if I decide something's for me, I will like claw my way to having
Yeah.
it. But I like telling people that I didn't see it either, because I want them to know that it's possible. You are a creator. You're a
Yes.
creator. So even if you didn't see it, you create the image for what that looks like. You create the
Mhm.
guidelines for how to love you. You create the
Mhm.
blueprint that someone can either adhere to or be gone. But you can have that. You absolutely can, even if you didn't see it.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible, Kevina, for someone to be in a loving, intimate relationship that's healthy if they are still struggling with forming that connection with themselves? Do you think
Yes,
that? Yeah, yeah,
yes. There's levels to this
yeah,
ish.
yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? It depends on what type of person this is. Are they somebody
yeah.
who is going to absorb what they're feeling and be self-aware with themselves and process it and not put it on their partner's plate? Because
Mhm.
I deal with a lot of people that will struggle with jealousy or anxious attachment or whatever, and they're working through it in a healthy way, and they'll say, okay, this is what I was feeling, and I'm aware that it's not on my partner to be responsible for this feeling about that. I understand that it comes from insecurities that I have within myself, and I'm working through it. Hey, partner,
Yeah,
I just want to make you aware that this is what I'm working through right now. I don't want you to change what you're doing. I just wanted you to know that this is how I'm feeling, and I just needed support in
yeah,
me dealing with this thing as
yeah,
to not become a problem to you. But if you're somebody who hurts people because you're hurting, and if you're somebody who can communicate these things and just gets an attitude with your partner because you're feeling insecure, then maybe you need a little bit more time to be with yourself. So there's levels to it.
yeah. Absolutely. I um, I was someone that used to center romantic love in a way, because of how I saw it and what I thought what it meant to be a woman in a relationship. And a part of getting closer to myself, um I began to understand the importance of having needs outside of a romantic interest, my romantic person. And so community is a major theme right now, for so many reasons. Um, but how do we actually take the same um, principles of our love relationships, our romantic relationships, and apply them to the other relationships that matter just as much, like with our mates, our girlfriends, our families, our our platonic connections. There's room in this life for enough pockets of people to meet our different needs outside of our romantic person.
Hmm.
So
The an
what do you say?
the answer is the same. It's
Yeah.
intention. It's intention and action behind that intention.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I always say this to my clients. There's somebody in your life that
Hmm.
is probably like you and does too much for people and isn't often appreciated. And they are a really cool person that you see in this community and you admire them and you're
Yeah.
cool with them, but you've never connected with them deeper. But you can look at them and see that they're a similar archetype as you, somebody who puts good out into the world and doesn't often receive it back. Ask that person out for coffee. Ask them out for coffee. Like you have to shoot shots like friend shots. The
Yes.
same way you
Yes.
shoot relationship shots. One of my
Yes.
closest friends, he doesn't even live in Bermuda. But one of my closest friends, I said to him, I said, look, I've had a really rough time and with friendships, with, when I was having a hard time realizing that I don't have a full community that can hold me in the ways that I need.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I would like to be intentional about being your friend. I think that you have, something where we could grow together as friends and support each other and understand each other. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that my intention behind our interaction is a really beautiful friendship. And he was like, I cannot tell you a time that someone has been that intentional with me. And to
Imagine.
this to this day, since that moment, there's not a day that we don't interact in some way. Like it, I mean, there's days that we don't interact in some day, but like
Right.
even if it's one message, like
Yeah.
that's usually somebody that checks in with me or I check in with
Yeah.
them. And it's because I was intentional about that friendship. And I some people might see me as very intense. Like as a friend, I'm like, listen, this is my intention with you. I don't like wasting people's time. And I don't like when people waste my time.
I know that's
And I
right.
like
Yeah.
reciprocity. So I
Yeah.
order what I want, but also I shoot friend shots. If I think like, hey, I shoot friend shots. I shoot,
Yeah.
yeah, you're actually on my friend shot list.
Babes, I was just gonna say I shot my shot.
Yeah.
Like,
So
honey,
when you
I
messaged
need to
me,
get
I said, how does she know?
like but that's so true. I think we overthink it. I think adults we lose that childlike curiosity and innocence about approaching people with genuine needs and interests. And it's like shoot your shot, shoot
Shoot
it,
your shot. Shoot your
shoot it,
shot.
because energy doesn't lie. Like you
Hmm.
said, that you know when someone is likely vibrating on your same frequency.
Hmm.
You
And
can
what's the
tell.
harm of checking to see,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't want to miss this aspect too. Like you probably have family recipes. A aunt makes the best macaroni and cheese or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our
Mm-hmm.
aunties and uncles are getting older. Call
Mm-hmm.
your auntie and ask her how she makes her macaroni and cheese and then go make it with her. Like, call your
Yeah,
grandmother
yeah, yeah.
and ask what Front Street looked like 50 years ago. Like, connect, intentionally
Connect.
connect.
Yes, connect.
I
Connection
took
is
my
key.
grandmother to the movies the other day, and we went to go see Cast.
I
Cast.
haven't been to the
We
movies
went
in
to go see
years.
Cast by Ava
Yeah.
DuVernay, my girl. Um, I love her. I'm big
Yeah,
inspired by
yeah.
Ava. I like, the vibes. You know the vibes. The Ava vibes. I be trying to give them. But we went to go see this movie, and my granny said to me like, I haven't been to the movies in 10 years, and I was like, gasp at myself.
But how great though. How great to actually
Yeah,
be
it
able to
was
do that.
beautiful. But
Yeah.
also, like, we could be doing
Wow.
stuff like taking our grandmothers to the movies. We had a very beautiful conversation about race and caste and,
Yes.
things that she encountered when she was growing up and why she has the viewpoints that she has. And I was like, I need to be nurturing this, like, while we have it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all feel the need for community right now. Do
We
the
do.
thing, start slow because it's a lot going from being like just alone with yourself to getting out there and being in community again. Like nobody's saying to go and do 10 friend events, but break yourself in slowly. Ask your
Start.
mom if you
Yeah.
can make cookies,
Yeah.
shoot that friend shot. But we have to try. We have to be intentional about it. Think about how
Yeah.
everybody plans like financial goals. I think about New Year's, like financial goals, workout goals, like everything is this list.
All the things.
And we
Yeah.
all have this little list. How many of us have like community goals, connection goals, intimacy goals, relationship goals that get added into those same list as
Into
something
the
as
list.
important?
Yeah.
And I have been working towards, I guess, like being where I'm at in my work life for a very long time. And I got here and I was like, I really just want to spend time with the people that I love.
Yeah.
And not that I love my work. Like I love my work. It's so fulfilling. But I
Yes.
had to look at the ways I prioritize my work over my personal life over and over again. And I was like, there's some gaps here because when
Ooh.
I reached a certain level of success, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, all I care about is the people that I share this with.
And that's all we have at the end of it, too, right? Like that's there's the people that's left to be there after we have done all the fulfilling work. It's still work though, because you can be fulfilled in
Yes.
work
And it's
and
still
still say
fulfilling.
yes, it, right?
And right, and I want to make my mark on this world, and I feel like I am, and I get up
Yeah.
and I have my clients and I feel like I am. But
Hmm.
sometimes, and I know you know this, Dayla, because you do similar work, at the end of the day, you are so busted and empty that you feel like you just want to cry if anybody looks at you. And at the end of the day, all I care about is being held. So
At
why
the
am
end
I
of the day,
nurturing financial goals and work goals over my relationship goals when at the end of the day, when I give what I give to the world, I need to be held. That's how I recharge. And it's okay if you're single, you're
yeah,
manifesting that, but
yeah,
to cut yourself off from it completely, to prioritize the wrong thing, to miss the
yeah.
partner that's sitting right next to you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish we could just sit with that a little longer, but you're preaching to somebody, and then you're preaching to me.
This is what
That's
happened. I
that's
shouldn't have took that
that's
nap. I said,
bottom
Dale
line.
was funny. Like, why ask her to stop talking?
This is great. This is great. I'm so grateful. Okay, so on that note, right? How and I'm noticing the time, but how can we measure the health of a relationship? Because while relationships are so important, it's why we're here. We're built for connection, literally.
Hmm.
We need to make sure that we are connected intentionally with the right people at the same time. And that's something that I didn't do too good, even as someone who helps others, right? And a lot of us
Hmm.
actually struggle with it, to use discernment and picking the right
Hmm.
foods, romantic and non-romantic.
On a light, easy to understand and comprehend way, I can say go by
Yeah,
your feelings. Your feelings are your emotional guidance system.
yeah,
So go by how the person's making you feel, how your nervous system
mm,
feels around them, how
yeah,
relaxed you feel around them. If you can celebrate
mhm,
your wins with them, do you feel like you can trust them? Do you communicate well together? So all of those
yes,
things are like generic things that you can tick off the box. But I encourage everyone to, even if they're in a relationship, go from scratch on a piece of paper and say a healthy relationship in this realm. Because I have people do it for like job relationships, parent relationships, platonic relationships, love relationships, self-love relationships. But right now we're talking
yes,
about intimacy. So fresh sheet of paper, act like your partner does not exist and say, this is what love looks like to me. This is
Yes.
how I like to be loved. This is what would make me uncomfortable. This is what would make me sad if my partner did. This is what would
Mm,
make me angry. This is what I desire. This is what would
mm,
get me hot. And when you're when you're thinking about dating someone, refer to your list. How do you
yes.
want to be
Put it
loved?
out.
And the reason why I said act like your partner doesn't exist is because people will go, oh, well, because my partner does this, I will write down that I like to be loved like this. But I
Mm,
don't want the list tainted by anybody else. Think about your
mm,
childhood. Think about the way your parents showed you love. Think about, or
mm,
lack thereof. Think about how you like when
yes.
your friends show you love, and then figure out your love languages, and
Mm.
not just the colonialized few love languages, but your
Just the
love
list.
languages. I want
Yes.
somebody to cook for me. I want them to put love in the food. I know
That's
someone
right.
who is literally every single partner they have can cook. And I was like, how are you doing this? Is there a form that you're filling out? But like people need to figure out how they love, how they like to be loved, how they need to be loved, how they do not like to be loved, how they can't be loved because it triggers them. Like
Yes.
every
Yes.
single aspect of what works for them needs to be written down, and it needs to be a list that is in your phone forever, that you're
Mm,
constantly adding to. A friend lies to you, oh, I need to write down on my list that I don't want to be lied to. Like
yeah.
we're always collecting stimuli. Create a master list of how you need to be loved and what works for you, and then refer to the list.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that's so brilliant because sometimes it's actually what you know you don't want. Sometimes you can start there. Sometimes because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a special girl. I was a lost girl, right? And I had to start there. I had to start with what I did I know felt horrible to me. I had to start
Mm-hmm,
there.
mm-hmm,
And then you work backwards, and eventually the list of what feels good, what meets your needs actually starts to grow. But start with what you
mm-hmm,
know you can't do, simply because
mm-hmm.
it's not good for you, not good for your mental health, not good for your nervous system.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. So wrapping up, I wanted to ask you, right? Because as I call in my my marketing video of this chat, I called you a entrepreneur, content creator, and a healer, right?
Uh-huh.
And because and just going through your list of services, that's exactly what's happening. You're facilitating the healing journey for these folks, for these women, as you talked about. But what do you find can be the hardest thing about applying your own medicine, your own recommendations to yourself? Like, is there
Grace.
something? Grace. Yeah.
Grace. I'm always like, you need to give yourself grace. You need to celebrate your wins. You need to like stop being so hard on yourself. And
Mhm.
that is something that I definitely struggle with. I'm a perfectionist. I've always been a perfectionist. You see me smiling on social media, and sometimes it was a commitment that I made, and I struggled to get there, you know. But I make sure that I show up a certain way to a fault, you know,
Yeah.
to a fault.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not forgiving enough of myself when I am low, or when I have a very realistic energy deficit. I'll be like, I didn't do anything today. Meanwhile, I gave somebody a ride, helped somebody through a mental breakdown, had 3 clients, wrote a proposal, and
Meanwhile,
I'll be like, I got nothing done.
nothing done.
So it's just great. And it's something that I'm working on, but it's also something that I'm very candid with my clients about. We heal
Mm,
together. And
that's
of
right.
course, their sessions are about them, but I don't pretend to be above certain things. I say, look,
Mhm.
this is what I'm working on. This is what's working for me sometimes, you know, and sometimes when they're on the journey and they're struggling with it and they're beating themselves up, I say, hey, sis, let me tell you how I flopped last week. Like my healing practices, and I also incorporate Reiki sometimes.
Yes, I saw that.
But yeah, my healing practices are very raw and visceral and real. And I do have my shortcomings, and I say I do this work because I need it.
Yeah.
When my practice
Yeah.
goes into self-care and self-love and grace and self-healing and self-acceptance, I do that because I needed. When it goes to, like not going after the toxic thing because, really you don't want that thing, but it imitates something that happened in your childhood. And now you have a thing for that thing and you have to get over. I've been there. I've been there. I lived through it. And,
Yeah.
these things that I help my clients with are things that I'm consistently refining in myself. And
Beautiful.
that's the point. The journey never
Yeah.
ends.
That's right. And I totally agree. I can relate to that so much. That resonates. It's like you're in the work with your client. You're not separate from it. You're not removed. You're not exempt. This is a part of what brought you to where you are as well. And
Hmm.
you were able to I read online, not gonna lie and say a book, but I was reading somewhere on Twitter, I think. They were talking about alchemy, and it's like how we take our own experiences and pain and we create or transform it into something that someone is able to, use themselves or gain from or be inspired by. So beautiful. Miss Kavina, how can people work with you? Well, are you accepting new clients? For those of people who are watch this later, are you accepting new clients? And then how can people work with you if you are?
Okay, so I am accepting one or two more clients, and then it's a
Yeah,
wait
that's
list.
right. Yeah,
Um, so if people are interested, they should hit me up now because it's this close. It's really close and coaching fills up fast. But I do
yes.
want to say as a beacon of hope that I'm working on um cohorts and programs and things that can make my work more accessible to more people. So
Mhm.
maybe it will be an interactive book that has videos or
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
program
yeah.
that someone can follow along with.
Yes.
So I realize that I'm not able to help as many people as I can if I continue to only do one-on-one and couples coaching. But as long as I continue to do one-on-one or one-on-two sessions, only I'm not going to be able to help everybody that needs my help. And also, a big part of my practice is accessibility, and I've done, what I can, but even with that, not everybody can afford one-on-one sessions or coaching sessions
Yeah,
for
yeah,
couples.
yeah.
So I do only have a couple of coaching slots left, but I am working on ways to work with more people and give more people access to my healing at, lower cost and in a
Yeah.
self-paced way.
So important, so important. Well, folks, I mean, you heard the lady, right? If you were thinking about it, if this resonates with you, if you want to work with Miss Kavina in her different services, she offers so much. You can find her at Lorraine_uncensored. And
Hmm.
then obviously she's going to be linked in this discussion on my social media as well. But I just want to thank you so much for being here. I have been fangirling over your stuff for a while, and yeah, I definitely shot my shot via social media, but outside of this, I think it's a clear gift that you have, and how you're able to connect with folks online. I can imagine how transformative the actual work that you do in person is with folks. So, guys, if you're interested, please get in contact with her. And thank you so much, Miss Kavina, for being here with me this evening on this Good Friday Eve. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your gift. Thank you for your work. Thank you for what you give to our community. You said that you love this place. You love our people.
I
And
do.
samesies, samesies.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I felt so moved to actually reach out, because it's felt. I can feel the love in your posts, right? So I just
Hmm.
want to thank you and give you your flowers virtually, my lady. And yeah, I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me. And it was coming it was coming from one direction
Either
either
way,
way.
either
Like
way.
I was like, oh, I want to do something. I want to do something with Dayla. And your branding is absolutely beautiful. I've been watching your work
Mhm.
as well. And it's important, it's such important work. And I think
Yeah,
that
man.
right now in Bermuda, it's this work. it's this work that we need. Like
Mhm.
everybody, like we need healing as a community. And we're just
Yes,
on our soapboxes yelling, but I am
we
so
are.
happy that we've been able today, and we will in the future put our soapboxes together and make our platform even higher, because they need the work that we're doing. So thank
Exactly.
you as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So good night, everyone. Have a beautiful holiday weekend, and this will be posted on YouTube for everyone to see after. Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.